Where is she? The company is in trouble. Quick, come here, we can't do this without you. Forget her, I broke up with her. Dad, it's me, I need your help with something, just in case. We were on a company trip in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, for 2 nights and 3 days, but on checkout day, something felt off. I was the only one at the entrance, so I asked the hotel staff what was going on. They told me some surprising news. Feeling uneasy, I decided to put my secret plan into action for the sake of the company. My name is Madison Carter, I'm 25 and single. My family includes my dad, mom, and me. I've had a comfortable life growing up. My mom has always been a stay-at-home mom, which surprises my friends because that's not very common anymore. My dad's job has always been unclear. Even when I asked my parents, they were vague. But during a family dinner after I graduated from college, they finally told me the truth. They said, "We've been unclear about your dad's job, but we've had a comfortable life because he works hard as an investor. We wanted to tell you before high school, but your mom stopped me." I had a feeling about it. Honestly, I didn't know my dad was an investor, but when I saw how he talked about money and economic news, I figured he didn't have a regular job. My parents laughed at my calm reaction and said I was definitely their daughter. I laughed with them. Years passed, and now I work at a company. Luckily, it's a job seeker's market, so I could pick the industry I wanted. I chose IT because I thought it would be a good place for women and allow for remote work. However, I realized that if I worked from home for a few years after starting, I might fall behind my peers, so I decided to go to the office 5 days a week. My IT company is quite traditional and sports-oriented. Today, we're on a company trip to Jackson Hole, Wyoming. The hotel in the mountains provided a nice, relaxing space away from the city. The attendees included managers and executives who were enjoying themselves, drinking and chatting. Everyone was having fun, telling stories, performing tricks, and relaxing in hot springs. On the last day of our trip, something went wrong. I was left behind. I rushed to the front desk to ask about the bus I was supposed to take. The bus had already left. I asked the group leader if anyone had missed it, but there was no reason for the hotel staff to lie to me. So, the only person to blame was my senior, who had the wrong meeting time. The director had told me we would meet at 2 p.m., but the hotel staff said the meeting was at 10 a.m. and the bus left at 10:30. With no other options, I decided to call my coworker, Leanne. After the phone rang for a while, I got an automated message. "I'm currently unable to answer the call. Please leave a message after the beep." I tried calling her 5 times, but each time I got the same message. This meant she was probably on a plane and wouldn't be reachable for a few hours. This was a tricky situation. If everything had gone as planned, I would have been back by 1 p.m. tomorrow because I needed to attend a company meeting. The president had also told me I must be there. I wondered if something was wrong since the president seemed worried. Next, I decided to try calling the president. After the beep, I got the same automated message as with Leanne. Just to be sure, I called one more time. When I got the message again, I reluctantly left a message. "Mr. President, I apologize, but due to some circumstances, I was left behind on the company trip. I might not be able to attend an important meeting tomorrow, and it's not my fault." Normally, a working adult would pay for their own way back, but that's only if they were negligent. In this case, I didn't do anything wrong. I was set up by my senior. I want to complain about this. The problem is that I haven't upset my senior, so they either dislike me or just don't like something about me. It's probably a bit of both, but by leaving me behind, they are only creating problems for themselves. If the higher-ups find out, there will be chaos in the company. Honestly, I'm hesitant to rely on this for such a personal issue, but I need to take all possible precautions. So, I start calling the first person in my phone contacts. "Hello, Dan? It's me, Madison. I'm in a bit of an emergency." While I was waiting for the bus, I noticed 3 missed calls and 1 message on my phone. I remembered that Leanne wasn't there, so I played the voicemail. "Leanne, it's me, Madison. It looks like I was tricked by a senior and left at the hotel in Steamboat Springs. I have an important meeting tomorrow, but I might not be able to attend. Can you casually ask the senior why I'm not there?" I was confused about what was going on. Despite having an important meeting, it seemed like Madison was surprisingly absent. In fact, I was more flustered about it than she was. I needed to find out why Madison was left behind before worrying about my own feelings. A senior had just come to the bus, so I casually asked him, "It seems like Madison's missing?" "Oh, We left her behind. She must be panicking at the hotel right now, he replied. I couldn't believe this. Sure, he had been tough on Madison lately, but that was only because his work was worse than hers, and now he was laughing about it? I wanted to get angry, but I tried to stay calm and continued the conversation. Sir, Madison mentioned she had an important meeting tomorrow. What meeting is it? Is it something I should know about? I felt like the conversation wasn't going well. Could this be a big problem? I wondered. Sir, I'll check with Madison right away, he said, seeming flustered. He hesitated, looking around nervously. I quickly took out my phone and called Madison from a quiet spot. Hello, Madison? It turns out the senior was messing with you. Oh, I thought so. That's enough for me, thanks. Madison seemed pretty calm on the phone. I asked, the important meeting is the priority. Are you okay for the meeting? Oh, I've taken care of that, she replied. I had to rely on someone I'd rather not, but it's done. Her words were a bit vague, so I double-checked to make sure everything was okay. Are you really sure you're okay? Yeah, I'm fine, Madison said. I decided to trust her. I went back to my senior and shared what Madison and I had talked about. He seemed relieved and laughed, though it looked forced. Meanwhile, Madison was enjoying a luxurious day at the hotel in Jackson Hole, where she had been left behind. She had informed her coworker, Leanne, about everything. Madison sent a message to her boss, who reluctantly used the insurance she didn't want to rely on. With everything settled, she felt there was nothing left to do except get back at the senior who had tricked her. So, she decided to enjoy her day. She could charge the extra night at the hotel to the company or pay for it herself if necessary. She couldn't let a day like this go by without enjoying herself. She went back and forth between the sauna, the outdoor pool, and the heated stone lounge until it was time for dinner. For dinner, she had fresh seafood from the Pacific, along with locally sourced vegetables and meat. The delicious flavors overwhelmed her, turning what started as her worst day into the best one. Suddenly, she was jolted awake by her boss's loud voice on the phone. Where are you right now? I'm at the Jackson Hole Hotel for a company trip. The boss understood her situation but fell silent for several minutes. Hello? Are you listening? She asked, but there was no response. Maybe he was in shock. Today is an important meeting with the company's rivals. I just got a call from the bank saying they might stop our loan. The company has been struggling with cash flow lately, so today's meeting is crucial. The boss sounded frantic. Even over the phone, she could picture his face going pale, and even the hair on his head turning white. With this incident, they might have to say goodbye to any remaining hair. Don't worry, Madison reassured him. I've taken the necessary precautions, I assured the president, who seemed to find some hope in my calm demeanor. We have insurance in place, so everything will be fine. More importantly, I need to discuss something with you about Mr. Wilson. After about an hour, I explained the situation regarding the company trip to the president. He was left speechless for a moment. It was understandable since an important meeting was scheduled for today, and the person who should be there was missing because of a prank. We'll make it in time for the meeting, and we have the worst-case scenario covered by insurance, so don't worry, I said, wrapping up the conversation before hanging up the phone. I was sure Mr. Wilson had received a stern talking to from the president. Now it was time to prepare to leave the hotel and catch my flight. I left the hotel, boarded the plane, and took a bus to the office, arriving just in time for the 2 p.m. meeting. As soon as I entered the conference room, I saw that the president looked like he was about to cry. The other participants who had arrived early were forcing smiles, but the truth was far from cheerful. If I had been late, today's meeting might not have been successful. I had known in advance that my father was involved in the loan situation, but I kept quiet because it wasn't something to share at work. However, after what Mr. Wilson did, I had no choice but to use it as my advantage. When I told my father about the situation, he said, "Your decision was rational and good, Madison. You sought the best outcome based on your own judgment. No parent would refuse to help with that." Honestly, I felt like I owed my dad a favor. As a working adult, I wanted to surpass my father, but I never intended to use him for my own gain. I genuinely liked everyone at my workplace except for Mr. Wilson, which is why I wanted to help my colleagues this time, even if it meant bending my own rules. Now that the meeting was over and I was exhausted from flying in from Jacksonville, I mentioned, I'd like to go home early today, not really meaning it, and left the conference room. By the way, I hadn't heard about Mr. Wilson's situation. I wondered what happened to him and if he would come to work tomorrow. As I pondered these thoughts, I headed home. The next day, I saw Mr. Wilson. He still looked gloomy. When I asked Leanne, she said the president had scolded him severely. On top of that, his planned promotion was cancelled. It felt like adding insult to injury. I approached him, pretending not to know anything. "Let's do our best again, Senior Mr. Wilson," I said, hanging his head in disappointment. He could only muster a weak reply. "It's better than being fired," I added. "This will be a lesson for him in the future. Now, let's focus on today's tasks."